take a rest.
Sorry. It's a day of transition. Sometimes they're not so graceful.
I hope Beelzebub wasn't involved with that. Are you there yet? Have you arrived? Have you found why you are here? Do you know peace? Do you feel the depth of love inside of yourself? Do you feel an upsurgence of joy and happiness in your life? J.D. Rockefeller, when asked how much money is enough, he replied, just a little more. Just a little more. And lest we judge him, don't we do the same? There's something, if we achieve it, we will find what we're looking for. Something out there that's contingent on something else to find the joy, the peace, the love that we know we long for and yearn for. Just a little more. We rarely confess it, but we live by a deeply hidden belief that spiritual fulfillment is an outside job, not an inside one. And yet the inside one is the one we really can have some power over. We're often powerless about what we can control, the outcome of things, the future we think we need to find who we are. We always feel we need to be someone else in another place and time, at another position in life. C.S. Lewis spoke of this kind of striving that seems to be such a part of our lives as a man who gets on the back of the train and spends the entire journey moving to the front of the train so he can get there a little earlier. Missing all of the beauty, all of the joy, all of the mystery, all of the graciousness that he could have experienced by just slowing down, taking a seat, having a Sabbath. If there is a top 10 list of biblical sayings or passages that, at least for me, describe this experience of arrival, the place we most yearn for in our lives, it's the Psalm today. It brings to mind a line from when Harry met Sally. When I read that psalm, I want what he's having. It's just one of those moments. So I want you to listen to the psalm again, but own it for yourself. Feel it. Imagine yourself writing each verse and letting it soak into you. Imagine the smile on the psalmist's face, maybe the tears in his eyes as he comes down to this depth within him. Lord, you have searched me out and known me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You trace my journeys and my resting places and are acquainted with all of my ways. Indeed, there is not a word on my lips, but you, O Lord, know it altogether. You press upon me behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is so high that I cannot attain to it. For you yourself created my inmost parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I will thank you because I am marvelously made. Your works are wonderful, and I know it well. My body was not hidden from you, while I was being made in secret and woven into the depths of the earth. Your eyes beheld my limbs, yet unfinished in the womb. All of them were written in your book. They were fashioned day by day, when as yet there was none of them. How deep I find your thoughts, O God. How great the sum of them. If I were to count them, they would be more in number than the sand to count them all. My lifespan would need to be like yours. I'll definitely have whatever he's having. But here's the truth. We all have what he has. All of us, right now, in this present moment. If we take away the striving, the anxiety that doesn't get us anywhere, and we're present to the truth that is at the depth of our faith, we have it. We know how marvelous we are. We know how amazing God is. We know the presence of God. And from that, everything flows. Some of you, if you've read my article in the Mouse, know that I'm about to go on sabbatical. Yes. This Sunday is my last Sunday of this liturgical year with you. I will return on the first Sunday of the next liturgical year, which is Advent 1, which is a great time for a new beginning and a re-entry. It is a spiritual juncture that I look forward to. And I quoted Anne Lamott in that article that I wrote, saying that everything works better if you unplug it for a while, including you. And I believe that. I mean, I am one of those people that never unplugs my phone, never turns it off, never turns my computer off. And then suddenly one day in a meeting, everything is haywire. And I realized, oh, I let things go haywire until they need to be unplugged. Anne Lamott has another phrase. She said there was a point in her life where she found that her productivity was diminishing faster than she could lower her standards. I don't know if I'm there yet. I have known people, entrepreneurs. I've read about entrepreneurs who come up with their next thing on a long backpacking trip, breaking up patterns, letting go of anxiety and striving. I've known people who have let go of what has become their greatest passion and discovered something astoundingly unexpected. Even Rockefeller later admitted that he was serving money rather than letting his money serve him. I have listened to those who reinvented themselves simply by changing a few things in their lives, letting go of the idea that spiritual life is an outside job, not an inside one. I believe in the power and opportunity of unplugging. I believe there's a reason why Sabbath, sabbatical, is part of what was always taught in our tradition. Some of you may know of Mandy Patinkin, Emmy Award winner, Tony Award winner, great actor. Some of you may know him for The Princess Bride, or Lentil, Barbara Streisand. I mean, his list is endless. He's done everything. And he played a part, a very dark role for, I think, maybe 10 years or so in a series called Homeland. It was a very dark role. And after they filmed The Last Session, he was interviewed, and he was posed with this question: what are you going to do next? And I've been ever impacted by his response. He said, I'm going to get lost. And it really left the interviewer a little dumbfounded. What does that mean? What do you have to do? How do you get it meant for him that he needed to let go and find that place of Sabbath where he could begin to listen all over again, to lower the expectations, to let go of the resume, to feel non-judgmental about not having a plan. So ask me, what are you going to do on your sabbatical, Scott? I'm going to get lost. You know, it's funny because there are all these grants and things for sabbaticals. And they come with long lists of everything you need to do on your sabbatical. And it's very competitive. And I just have to shake my head at that and think, is that really what a sabbatical is? Is that what a Sabbath is? Is that something you have to prove to somebody else, some expectation, or reach another level in your life? Of course you want to reach another level. But how do you get there? With the same standards you've assumed? Or is there a new path? Part of letting go involves a willingness to give up reference points that you think stabilize you, comfort you, define you, give you your worth. It's not easy to let go. But to shut down for a while, just to see what happens to you, is a worthy and spiritual venture. You and I are not made for the Sabbath. The Sabbath is made for us. By the way, I love Eli. Eli in the story today, boy, does he get a bad rap. But I think you need to read Jewish stories as if you were a Jew, who came up with amazing stories about Job, amazing stories about Moses, amazing stories about all of these leaders. As Christians, we tend to take them so literally. You know, like, oh, yes. Every commentary, Christian commentary I read about Eli was negative. He was a disappointment. He couldn't control what his children thought. Can I see hands of anybody that has been able to do that? I resonate with Eli. He's got a big job. He was thrown into it. He didn't have the skill set to do this astounding job he was asked to do. And by the way, guess who directs him? Directs Samuel to God. Guess who has the discernment powers to say, it's not me. Stop coming to me and pointing someone to God. Right? And to have learned that, to have been placed in a position where everybody comes to you for, what do I do now? Show us the way. What is the answer to this? I have these questions, right? And to have failed to control his children. And by the way, it said God, so it talked about God was against him. You know what the word against means? You know, when you're against somebody, you're close to them. You're touching them. You're in connection to them. God has a purpose for Eli. And it's so clear. One of the most peaceful and, quite frankly, humorous statements in all the Bible is Eli's response when Samuel said, things don't look good for your career. He said, it is the Lord. Let him do what seems good to him. That's peace. That's acceptance. That's not resistance or striving. It's letting go. He, for me, is the hero in this reading. And by the way, when people talk about how sad it was that Moses never made it into the promised land, there's another story for you. I think it was intentionally an act of kind of rebellion in a way, all right? Because he acted in a way that showed the promised land is not an outside job. He arrived in the promised land within him. How's that promised land outside job doing these days? Look where it's got people. Spirituality is an outside job. It's inner work. As I take some time to embrace the true meaning of Sabbath, I find it appropriate to leave you with a call to Sabbath as well. Read and meditate on the psalm today. Let it become a part of your being. Not because it's not within your being. It is. But let it wake up what is already in you. Consider what you ultimately long for is not outside, but within. Become more aware of what you truly yearn for. Know that God is waiting for you, not in some distant future or not out there somewhere, but is there for you right now, deep within that beautiful soul that was marvelously created by God. When you touch that place, you touch rest, you touch Sabbath.